So we just made a video talking about the genetic anomaly not too long ago, and if you're unaware who that is, he's the under 22-year-old blasting gear trying to become a professional bodybuilder. While this is a great pursuit in terms of the work ethic involved and how dedicated you have to be, it's also quite a deleterious one. As you know, bodybuilding requires an exceptional amount of steroid use, and that steroid use can lead to oftentimes a lot of awful effects. Some of those in which we covered in our last video were his skin turning purple, his hairline receding, and specifically his unique ability to age quickly. I mean, he is a 21-year-old, 20 years old, let me correct myself, and he looks in his 30s. That's a concern, and the reason that happens is a lengthy one that we covered in the last video, which I recommend you go check out. But this video, he actually just recently published his health work talking about him being relatively healthy, and I wanted to review it and hopefully use this as a learning moment for you guys and maybe even him to look at this blood work and say, okay, here's what's to expect when you're blasting pharmaceuticals trying to get as muscular as possible. Now, the context for this video, though, is very important because he's just gotten off gear and probably resumed it after his gyno surgery. So he is going to be at his healthiest in this unique and specific time compared to other times in the year when he would be currently blasting and then getting blood work, because I assure you it's going to be far worse, and that's something that everyone seems to have forgotten when bringing up this video.
Thankfully, my blood work has always been good so far, but I noticed that a lot of people neglect it, and that's what causes most bodybuilders to burn out really young, you know. And if you want to do this for a long time, you need to be careful. You need to watch your health, you need to watch your blood work, and you need to actually monitor that stuff, because when things go out of the range and your markers aren't in line to what they are supposed to be, that's when things start getting bad, you know. That's when you start feeling like shit, that's when you start looking like shit, and that's when you kind of start deteriorating as a fucking person. Your body in that state when everything is going bad, you can look at it in a way like you're kind of aging faster, you know, because your insides are so stressed.
So I think this is really important, and what he's saying is absolutely true. You should be generally concerned for your health as a bodybuilder, and you should be projecting your health into the future and thinking about how could I be as healthy as possible. Bodybuilding inherently is not healthy. You aren't going to live a long and fruitful life doing bodybuilding. You might shorten it by 5 years, 10 years, maybe 20 years, but it's absolutely not good for you. The amount of food you have to eat, the amount of steroids you need to take, and the other amount of anabolic compounds being taken simultaneously, not to mention the amount of diuretics, the amount of stimulants, and other things that are involved within bodybuilding. All of these things are inherently affecting organ function and tissue health and cost you a lot of time, a lot of really big chunks of time in some people's cases. Now, interestingly, he even mentions the whole aging faster thing, which it's funny to me because people oftentimes use blood work as a justification that they're fine using steroids, just like we see here. But the truth of the matter is, it's similar to a car. And if there's any car guys out there, I'm a big car guy, more of a motorcycle guy. I'm a huge motorcycle guy. If you follow me, you know that I have a whole collection of motorcycles. That's like my thing. That's what I do when I'm off camera, not in the gym. I'm riding motorcycles almost every single night. And the motorcycle's great. It's easy to work on, but the oil is just one little tiny part, one little fraction of the maintenance in terms of checking up on the car.
Who needs a man? Not me, baby. Not me.
Oh my God. There's no oil.
So if I check the oil on a motorcycle, that's great. But what does the chain look like, right? How's the clutch functioning? Or is the brake master cylinder good? Is the oil, the brake oil itself good? Is there issues there? Is the fan working? Is the coolant level good? These things are all critical issues that don't necessarily get diagnosed just from you checking the oil. And the same can be said about blood work. Visually, you might see somebody looking a bit iffy, looking a bit old, looking a bit worn down from using steroids, but they say, well, my blood work's good, and they might even have proof to that. But the thing is the blood work is usually only looking at one vector of health, what's in serum, not what's happening intracellularly or what's actually happening to your organs. Sometimes blood work won't be able to detect fatty liver disease because 1 in 3 men in America have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and those men are going to their doctor and getting their normal CMP and CBC panels and coming back and saying, hey, everything looks good. Meanwhile, they're walking around with one of the world's worst metabolic diseases. What really is required to check your health is not just blood work, and I'm really diving in on this hard because I think it's so important. A lot of these guys, young guys, think that, all right, my coach told me to go get labs, we're good to go, check that box. But far from the truth. We need to be seeing echocardiograms. We need to be seeing liver ultrasounds. We need to be doing urinalysis testing. We need to be doing kidney ultrasounds. The only way that you're going to verifiably say that you're completely healthy is by doing the due diligence of testing, and just getting a very basic blood test. It's not the answer. It's helpful. It certainly is a great diagnostic tool. Same thing as checking your blood, or oil in the terms of the motorcycles that I was using, but that's just a very singular plane of what could be wrong. It's not looking at the entire system. And that's where blood work can kind of be this naivety where people start to believe they are healthy and they are fine and things are going well, and ultimately that could not be the case. And I like what he says, and I think genuinely he does have, whilst boasting about his lifestyle oftentimes and doing it in a way that would seem as if it's promoting steroid usage, he does have a lot of good insights to speak on in terms of how he manages his health and the concerns that he has for it. My issues arise, of course, within the more popular content, the stuff that goes viral, him wearing masks in the gym, showing his purple skin. That's the viral stuff. That's the stuff that most people are going to be seeing, which you could argue, influence people to do really shitty things. But this kind of stuff where he's saying, yeah, I understand I have to be looking out for my health 30 years from now, that's really important. Now, hopefully he actually embodies that and actually practices that through his whole career. As he said, he's only 2 years deep, which is mind-blowing. But the idea would be that he can continue this for his whole career in bodybuilding, however long that is.
Look at my aesthetic. Pink on pink.
Good. Try it out.
Okay. Oh, it actually does smell good.
Good. What's the flavor?
10 out of 10.
Man, I mentioned this in the last video, bros, but like, bro cuffed the right one, dog. Like, bro cuffed the right girl. That is crazy. If he ever fumbles this girl, like, I'll be eternally disappointed in this man. Like, eternally disappointed in this man. I mean, she's no big titty anime Asian mommy, but like, she's a decent gal. I'm not talking about physical features either. You get your fucking head out the gutter, all right? No physical features involved here. I'm talking about simple values and traits, all right? What you know about traits? Moving on. So now he's going to go through his blood work, and we're going to take a brief overview of this and just see what's going on. Editor, we're going to have to zoom in on the blood work details. All right, so we'll just go from the top and then head our way down. We're going to start at hematology, which is the first component of this panel. So his hematology looks pretty good. I mean, yeah, his hemoglobin and hematocrit are elevated. A lot of comments, and even Greg said that they're high. Yeah, but in the grand scheme of things, when you compare it to a global average, it's actually not that high, especially when people are living in higher altitudes than what I guess most of the majority population would be living in, that are far higher than this, especially with their hematocrit. I generally don't have a huge concern with this. You might remember there's a famous runner, and his name was Mr. 60 because he chronically targeted being as close to, which is crazy, like 60 hematocrit as he could be, which is, I mean, that's like very dangerous. I would never recommend somebody get up to there, but for performance enhancing, right? And this is no different. You're going to see, especially in athletes, some slight elevations. These aren't by any means that abnormal compared to what you'll see even in a natural athlete in some individual cases. So for me, like, yes, it's high. It's going to want to be looked at, and you should be very cautious of the trend that this continues in. So let's say if he does get blood work regularly and these two numbers do go up, there's going to be some problems, and he'll need to have, you know, some very strong interventions. But if he's measuring constantly and he's seeing that this is relatively where they're stabilized, there's not going to be this massive issue. And a lot of people
say, well, you increase your risk of clotting and other issues.
If something stays relatively stable, that's usually fine as long as it's within range, and it is in range. It's at the top end of the range, but it is within range. As a bigger human being, you're going to need more blood oxygen carrying capacity. It's just what it is. It's a natural adaptation to the process. You should see some of these guys, these like linebackers and shit, who are 300 plus pounds in their blood work, which I have. To move that body as quickly as they need to move it, they are going to have this crazy adaptation with their hematology to manage circulatory function for that whole body. It's a very normal feature. People are freaking out about this in the comments. It's really not that bad. And anybody who's actually been a professional athlete in my comments would definitely be able to express how pretty average this is in terms of a very high performing individual. Is it healthy? Maybe not for longevity's sake, but I don't know if it's detrimental either.
I think pretty much everything seems to be in range. White cell count is good, red cell count is good, hemoglobin is in the higher range, HCT good, mean cell volume I have no idea what that is. Good.
He says he doesn't know what mean cell volume is. In America, we actually call this mean corpuscular volume. And that's just a medical fancy way of saying it is the average size of your red blood cells. Think of your red blood cells as little vehicles on the highway. Some might be compact cars. Some might be Teslas out there driving the EV life. Some might be SUVs. Some might even be semi-trucks, for instance. And you have a whole wide variety between there. The MCV tells us exactly what is the average size of all of those vehicles put together. The normal range is between 80 and 100 femtoliters. And if your MCV is low, we got to start worrying about the red blood cells being small. Why are they small? Doctors actually call this microcytic anemia, and it's a really common thing in some populations within America. Generally, it's not going to be consequential in any massive way, but you will, have to worry about vitamin deficiencies or malnourishment. So usually vitamin B12, folate, and things like this. But his is fine. I just thought it'd be worth defining for you so you understand what that even means. Continuing down here, there's basically nothing entirely wrong. He does say he doesn't know what some of these white blood cells are, like neutrophils, lymphocytes, basophils, these kinds of things. These are just the different blood cells that essentially act as your immune function. Different ones being elevated can imply different risks. For example, when you have lymphocytes, specifically neutrophils, upregulated, that usually means there's some sort of viral load and or bacterial load causing issues within your immune system.
I think this is where the fun stuff is. Cholesterol. This is what people look at usually. So mine is at 2.07.
And what's the range?
Low risk is below 5.2, so I'm good.
Oh.
I don't have high cholesterol. Borderline risk is like 5.2 or 7.8, and high risk is above 7.8, so I'm very, very low cholesterol. Then there's HDL cholesterol. It's no risk. I have 1.21.
His total cholesterol is within range. Honestly, for me, this is a pretty insignificant measurement, and I'm surprised that his coach is telling him that this is good. We want to see like an apolipoprotein count, and specifically we want to see apolipoprotein Bs, apolipoprotein As, and then the ratio between As and Bs. The HDLC, LDLC measurements are not actually, they don't exist, right? And I think people kind of convolute this a lot. There is no HDLC in your blood. There is no LDLC in your blood. It's non-conducive to anything that's actually happening in your body. Is it corollary? Sometimes, actually. So very rarely, but sometimes. What is directly is apolipoproteins. There's these cholesterol molecules and lipids that go around your body to do things. But these lipids, you can't flow through blood. You know this, right? If you put oil into water, they can't gel. They don't go together. They separate. Oil is hydrophobic, so it wouldn't work. If you put a bunch of oil in your blood, you would die. What has to happen is your body produces these lipoproteins, which encapsulate lipids and then transport them through your body. The lipoproteins are the things that are causing the health consequences. It's not the lipids directly themselves. So when people are saying like
total cholesterol is bad and HDL is bad and LDL is bad,
they miss basically first grade level lipidology is basically what happened. There's a lot more to the story that is way more significant. We want to measure the actual lipoprotein count because that's going to be more conclusive to what sort of CVD risk he's potentially under.
Then I have like triglycerides, whatever that is. Good.
He said he doesn't know what triglycerides are. I mean, these are just the fatty acids that I was just talking about, essentially. These are actually pretty important to measure. It gives us a good idea of what kind of insulin sensitivity you have and nutrient partitionability you have. It's actually a really important marker to get. He's very healthy here.
Everything seems good.
Check the thyroid.
Okay, oh, now this is the thyroid, I think. Free thyroxine, FT4, 17.2. So it's in the high range, but it's good. It's in the middle, so it needs to be like between 12 and 22. I'm at 17. Then FT3, it's at 5.5. It's exactly in the middle. Then TSH, it's at 2, good.
Now his endocrinology testing is a bit hairy, so his TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, is quite high. I generally like to see this on the lower end. He says use at 2, which is good. No, it's not. I don't think anything really above 1.5 to 1.7 is good in my book from the research that I've done and how I would like to manage my health. So for me, that's representative of his body being in this highly metabolically demanding state. He could probably, reduce that. that. Why is it important to reduce that? Well, thyroid stimulating hormone will cause your thyroid gland to grow it at some capacity, cause, possible polyp developments and other things like this that could be consequential long term. I like to modulate TSH as much as I can and bring it down if possible. I'm getting way too in the weeds here. This isn't what this channel is about.
This is where things are kind of off. I don't know what this means. If you guys know, comment down below. But my FSH is low, my LH is low, prolactin is low, estrogen is high, and test is high, obviously. So I have high estrogen because my test is high. That's how it usually goes. Like when you have too much testosterone, your body kind of compensates with more estrogen to try to balance things out. But that's normal for someone who's on testosterone. Follicle stimulating hormone.
What is that?
my fucking hairline. Follicles.
Really?
Like hair follicles.
What is it?
It's low. 0.3. That's crazy, yeah?
That's terrible.
That's not good. But my thyroids are good.
Ian says he has no idea what any of these things mean. So follicle stimulating hormone, for instance, that is basically, it's made in your brain and it's specifically comes from the pituitary gland and it's signaling to your testes to produce intratesticular testosterone. Or in women, it actually signals for your ovaries to grow follicles, and the follicle is like this little fluid-filled sac which contains the egg. I mean, this is, just at its roots what we're talking about here. It's not for your hair. Unfortunately. And on top of the intratesticular testosterone, some people might be saying, well, it does more. It does. It stimulates these Sertoli cells, which produce, they basically are a massive player in spermatogenesis. This is low, as well as the luteinizing hormone, which similar pathway there. The reason that these things are low is because testosterone, which you just said he's taking, inhibits your HPTA axis, your hypothalamic pituitary testicular axis, meaning that it downregulates the brain's ability to signal for certain things to happen within the body, because the negative feedback loop is estradiol and testosterone. And when these things are already elevated, which we see very clearly, his estradiol is elevated here, you tend to experience downregulation within your natural production of testosterone and spermatogenesis. This is true for both men and women. Women, however, would typically experience a decrease in natural fertility cycles, noticing obviously changes within their menstruation. His prolactin is low, which is kind of interesting. No real big comment there. It's just another sex hormone. Interesting, it's low, but it's not like critically low, so he probably doesn't even notice anything in particular. O-estradiol, I'm sure this is actually estradiol. Maybe it is O-estradiol. I know the language is a little bit different in some of the countries I've worked with. They use different terminology for the same blood marker. So estradiol I've seen as O-estradiol, even though O-estradiol is a different form of estradiol or estrogen in America, so a little bit confusing there. If you got the O-estradiol one and that is O-estradiol, I'm saying that way too much, that is probably not a good depiction of what's actually happening in his body. And of course the testosterone's high because he's taking testosterone. Big surprise there. But what does this actually tell us? Is this a good blood work panel? No, it's shit. It's actually garbage, to be honest with you. There's no markers regarding his inflammation levels, which is really important, like high sensitivity C-reactive protein, homocysteine. There's no clotting factors being tested, troponin T, and numerous others. There's a lot of things missing, quite frankly. This isn't just like this clean bill of health, like this man is healthy. In fact, it makes me even more skeptical, because if this is what he considers to be his clean bill of health, imagine what's the actual picture underneath all of this, right? It's kind of like, you clean the surface of a stove so many times, but underneath the cracks, and especially if you have like an open flame stove, all that food and gunk seeps down until you pick off the plate cover, and then you just find this gore cesspool of just expired food that's just been down in there for like a year or something. Similar to this situation, it's what I see all the time. Dudes getting CBC, CMP panels for $60, calling themselves healthy. I don't mean shit. It literally means zilch, nada, fucking nothing, right? I can be healthy because the average is unhealthy, but that doesn't mean that the deeper, more full spectrum analysis that need to be done are just irrelevant, right? That's why, like, no sense to plug this, but I'm going to plug it here anyways. Anabolic Insights, a great website, because they have like pre-built lab panels that actually give you very conclusive details on this kind of stuff for the lowest cost. Like, genuinely a very good, seriously, like, the sponsor of the channel, they keep the lights on, sure, but it's also just a very good resource, and I wouldn't accept them as a sponsor if I didn't inherently believe in it, help design stuff, and work directly with them. So link down below in the description, but genuinely, this is not a good panel at all. And this is not like, oh, you're healthy. What I would prefer to see him do, especially at his fucking age, you guys, is like go to the doctor and get a echocardiogram, get a liver ultrasound, get a kidney ultrasound, do a urinalysis, and then let's test some more in-depth testing here. Let's get that high sensitivity C-reactive protein. Let's get a homocysteine. Let's get a few more of these markers. Like I could come up with a bunch of them, troponin T being one, but several other clotting factors. Fibrinogen is one, D-dimer is another one. There's a few more. They're really obscure sometimes, but these are all, he's not even scraping the surface, right? And so on the surface level, he looks good, but underneath that, there's probably some concerns that need to be addressed. And again, we have to keep in mind that he has been off this Azul for some time, and that in and of itself should cause a flag for concern, because what is happening when he's on, we don't even know that. How bad does it get? We don't even know that, right? And that's kind of what I think is most important to look at, but most bodybuilders tend to ignore, because it's like, well, it's going to get better, so why look at it at its worst? But it's like so counterintuitive. I don't know. Moral of the story is he's not just this healthy, happy-go-lucky kind of guy. I don't know. Tell me what you think down below in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you would do the hugest favor for me, subscribe to this channel. It means the world to me, literally the world. You subscribing has changed my entire outlook on how I produce these videos, what I'm doing for you guys, and how much work I need to put forth in each and every single one of these videos. So I appreciate you. I hope you've had a beautiful day. I'm proud of you. I'm really proud of you, bro. Like, genuinely, you've accomplished so much this year. The year is not even done yet, and there's still so much runway to accomplish more. You will accomplish amazing things, and this will be the year that you solidify real change in your life. And I know it will, bro. You might not know it, but I fucking do, and I believe in you, right? And I need you to just say that you're going to be strong for everyone around you this year. All right, on to the next video. Deuces.